Hey guys, so here's my question today is how do we navigate post lockdown? And we go outside, we go back to work maybe, we go see friends, we try to sort of go back to some kind of life that feels good, whether that's in a way that keeps you safe from coronavirus or in a way that allows you to go and have some fun, or even just going back to work. And so what's going to happen is there are going to be these reactions that come up. You're going to be feeling a lot of uncertainty, and there's going to be a lot of fear coming up. And hopefully, through this time in lockdown, you've had time to come to terms with a lot of fear that's there within you and sit with some very uncomfortable emotions. And the benefit of being in lockdown is you have time and space to work through that. So that's been a really good practice, hopefully, for you. And you know what you want now. You know what you're excited about. Probably also know what you're not excited about. So then, as we go out the front door, as we go back into life, there's still going to be uncertainty there. There's still going to be some fears that are going to come up. And we need to figure out how to navigate this. And because what's going to happen is we're going to go into these reactions. There's going to be resentments. There's going to be some anger and potentially some rage. And there's going to be a lot of despair. And there's going to be feelings of like futility. And something I was talking about in my last video was about defeat, feeling sort of defeated, which is like the root of powerlessness. So all these things I'm talking about is around feeling powerless. And so how can we navigate that? And I talk a lot about getting into approval of the fear that's there, and the wounds that are there in our desire. We want something, someone wants something different, or they sort of shame us around what we want. I want to go for a walk in the park with my friend, and someone comes along and says we're not wearing masks and we're not being 3 feet apart, 2 meters apart, whatever it is. And then suddenly I feel humiliated, and there's this guilt and shame there. So these are all things we need to get into approval of. But that kind of leads us into this, really difficult place where we don't know what is. There's what we want to do, and then there's kind of the collective, what the collective is kind of telling us, and we're getting a lot of mixed messages right now. So it's really hard to make sense of things right now. So, how can we navigate this? Really tough question. But what I will say is, we want to do the right thing, but we also want to be able to have a sense of autonomy and be able to do some of the things that we want to do. And I think something we have to sort of really understand is whatever we do, whatever position we take, whatever way we act in, either two things are going to happen, possibly both at the same time. One is people are going to react to us. You're going to at some point feel like you're wrong. The other way of playing is to follow the rules as best you can, but then eventually you won't get to have the experience that you want. If you want to play that really safe, then you'll just stay in your room forever. Because once you step outside that front door, you're going to come into some kind of conflict. And so this is what we really need to get better at doing, is working through these uncomfortable feelings of the conflict that comes up. This is kind of something really obvious to say, I think, but it's surprising how little attention we give these things. And it comes back to this idea that I talk about, how, between control and what control is and what actual real power is. And so we can go out into the world and try and control things, people, ourselves, and feel very unsatisfied in that, because ultimately we don't really have control. It's very hard to get everyone into the same sort of. It's very hard to get everyone around you in the world to see the world as you do, and what you think is right, and what is good, and what is safe. And also that's going to be very frustrating for you eventually. Or you can come to terms with what that feels like in you, that sort of the anxiety and fear that comes up inside of you, and trying to limit the impact of that, and not make choices based on the doubts, uncertainty, and fear that's there. But making choices and taking action that comes from a place where you're very much at peace with your powerlessness and your inability to control things, and feel empowered in doing things that feel good for you as well. Action that doesn't, isn't going to impact people around you so much. That's the thing to consider, I think. That's the way through this. So it's about your choices, considering how your choices impact others, and just being very mindful of what that might be. Because then when the reactions come, you can understand it and then make different choices. But the thing about empowerment is, when you're really in a place of empowerment, you're able to empower others. You're able to give them a sense of choice as well. And that's a really important distinction to understand around empowerment. So practice that. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm just saying these are your options, right? But the empowerment piece comes from you. It's about your sort of what you might call you're coming from a sovereign place that's not influenced by fear and doubt and anxiety and all what the world is telling. The mixed messages we're getting from the world about what to do right now. So it means that you need to make sense of things for yourself, and then take a step, see what happens. And the last thing I want to say is, this is really about, to me, the way forward is about you being in connection with yourself and who you are and what you want, and how you want to start exploring this post-lockdown phase. But we have to do that also in connection with the people around us, and the environment that we're in. And that means having difficult conversations with people sometimes. And that's what I'm saying, your ability to navigate through uncertainty and fear and reactions is really, really important. Otherwise, we just go back to You know, we're just acting from reactions, we're acting from anxiety, from fear, and then we're trying to control things, and we're just trying to shut down people that don't see the world the way we do. Yeah,